Hey friends, Patrick here, and today let's focus on the Blazor render modes, the new render modes with .NET 8, because I think there's still lots of confusion regarding the render modes, and in this quick tutorial I want to go over them really short, hopefully. Let's see how long it will take, and explain how every single one of them works. So regarding the configuration, you see it here, I'm using the Blazor web app template. We also have a Blazor WebAssembly template with .NET 8, but this is not the one we need here. We want to use all the render modes, so for that you have to use the Blazor web app template here. Target framework, of course, .NET 8, no authentication, HTTPS. And now here we are already, interactive render mode. We start with none. So this means we're going to use Blazor SSR, which is also called static server-side rendering. And then we will introduce the server render mode, WebAssembly, and also we will have a quick look at the auto render mode. Regarding the interactivity location, now this means, do you want to use one specific render mode for the complete application? Then you would choose global, or you want to be a bit more flexible and then you choose per page or component. This is what I usually select, and then include sample pages. Why not? Let's just create this application real quick, and there we are already. You see we have the components folder with the pages here, and the only page that will be interesting for this tutorial is the home page. And another file that is really interesting and important is the program CS, because here you can see we've got, for instance, this line, and this tells us that it registers services required for server-side rendering of Blazor components. And then also this line here with map Blazor components. You can read the tooltip by yourself, and then you know what this function is doing, right? Okay, when we run this and have a quick look, remember, this is static server-side rendering. We can also open the console here, and when we now just reload the page, then we won't see any WebSockets, we won't see any WebAssembly stuff, nothing like that. Let me open that here. WASM, no files, WS WebSockets. This is just for debugging and stuff. This is Visual Studio actually, but this is not the WebSocket connection you need for interactivity, but we'll get to that in a minute. And here what you see is, when you just select the first file, you see that this has already been rendered on the server actually, and just then sent to the client. So this is static server-side rendering in action. Now let's add interactivity. For instance, let's say we want to add a button to our homepage here. So let's say we just add simple bouton, a button with simple HTML in the end, right? This is the great stuff of Blazor, among lots of other stuff. And we say on click, with add on click, we want to call a function, for instance, button clicked, or on button click, you name it. And to make this work, of course, we have to add the code block here with also add code. And then we just enter void button clicked, for instance. And then here, what I want to do is I want to change a text actually. So let's say this is an empty text at first, and then here I want to display this thing. So span add text, and when we now enter the parentheses here, of course, we have no error anymore, but now we can say text is button, almost button has been clicked, like that, for instance. So again, we have a simple HTML button with the on-click event. When the user clicks this button, we change the content of the text here, and we display the text in a simple span. Should be simple, right? When we now restart the application, we see the button here already, but when I click on this thing, nothing is happening. I can click as often as I want. Nothing will change on our page. We won't see anything. So now we have to introduce a render mode for interactivity. Now, there is one other way to realize that, and that would be a form. With forms, you can already do a lot with Blazor SSR, even all the CRUD operations, for instance. I did another video about that. So if you want to see that, if you want to know that, check out the info card, and then, or maybe just subscribe to my channel. That would be nice. And then you will see that video as well. Maybe also activate the bell notifications. That would be nice. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, so now interactivity. 2 places have to change here, or have to be changed to make this work. The first one is the homepage here, where we have to add the new render mode directive. But first, let's go to the program CS. I already told you this one line is important. So here we will add something new, and that would be another function, add interactive server components. That's the one we need. And as you can see here, it says add services to support rendering interactive server components in a Blazor components application. I love these tooltips. So in short, with that, we activate the interactive server render mode, or if you already know Blazor, it's in essence the old Blazor server, right, with WebSockets. So this is what we need. And then also here in the map Blazor components line, we add the interactive server render mode. This says configures the application to support the Microsoft ASP.NET Core Components Web Render Mode Interactive Server Render Mode. So many render modes. And now here, when we just leave it at that, we restart, we have it available actually, but page has been restarted. We can click here, still nothing is happening, but now comes the magic. So now we enter add render mode, and then interactive server. We restart the application. It's rebuilding. We click on that button. Button has been clicked. Magic. Isn't that nice? And when we now have a look at the WebSockets, there they are. We have this thing here. This is the new WebSocket connection. And when I click here, you see that some messages are exchanged, and sometimes here on render completed, sometimes you're lucky and you see what's actually happening here, and you see even the coordinate here. You see the event name. Love that. Event, where is it? Dispatch event. Event name was click. And you even see the coordinates of the mouse, I assume, on the screen, client, and so on. And then Blazor is doing its magic regarding the WebSocket connection here. And what you can also see is when we go to the console, you see this now, WebSocket connected to. And when I now go to the weather page, for instance, after a couple of seconds, yep, this WebSocket connection has been disconnected. And this is also great when you choose the specific locations for your interactive render mode, meaning for a page or a component. Then you can really decide, I want to use this WebSocket, or for that component, I want to use this WebSocket connection, or for that page. And when I leave that page, this WebSocket connection has been closed then automatically. And when you choose global for your interactive render mode, then this won't happen. Your whole application will have this WebSocket connection open all the time. Makes sense in some specific cases, maybe, but in this case, I just love that fact that you can close this automatically. All right, let's go back to Visual Studio. And now I would say, I mean, there's of course a lot more we could do. We could, for instance, move all that to, you know what? Let's do that. We move all that now, meaning the whole button in essence, to another component. And with that, I want to show you that you can even choose to change the render mode for components, meaning when you, let me just do that. We move that to a component. So let's, for instance, just add another folder here. I know this is really spontaneous, not planned at all, no script, nothing like that. I just thought, let's create this tutorial here real quick, because in particular on X or on Twitter, there's lots of confusion regarding the render mode. So I think this is really important. Oh, and by the way, I'm not paid by Microsoft or anything like that. No, not really. I get comments about that on X, but no, I just love developing stuff with .NET and Blazor. That's it. Anyways, let's call it shared. And then here we create another component, which shall be a button. So a new Blazor component, and this is now my button. And here I just say, I copy that, or cut that rather, move everything here. And now this is important. I do not specify the render mode here inside this component, right? I save this. And here I remove that as well. But now what I can do is I could just say my button. Yeah, let me just move that to the imports razor file. So add using like that, and back to home. And now let me do it like that. And this is now my button. No parameters, nothing like that. That would be too much, I guess. And when I do it like that, we just restart the application. Well, let's have a look. We go to the home page. We still see the button, but nothing is happening here, right? Because no render mode. Again, even here in the component, there is no render mode specified. But now what I can do, I can say add render mode. And then here I say interactive server, right? Quite similar to the directive here on the page. Render mode is not known in Visual Studio here. Maybe this should be fixed. Well, I've got the notification about a new version, so maybe it's fixed then. Pretty sure it's fixed then. So restart the application. And has it been? Yeah, already. Great. So now you can see this works. All right. So this is everything I wanted to show you regarding the change here regarding the interactivity location. So you could choose the page, or you could choose the actual component, meaning you just add the component here and then say I want to use interactive server, because the great thing now is that we can move this button here, this component, to another project, to a client project. We will do that in a minute. And then what we are able to do is we can then choose to use the WebAssembly render mode, the server render mode, or the auto render mode, and everything for the same component. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's do that next. All right, so now here in our solution, what we do is we add a new project, and this shall be a Blazor WebAssembly standalone application. Of course, you can also find it here, the Blazor WebAssembly standalone app. Project template for creating a Blazor app that runs on WebAssembly. This template can be used for web apps with rich dynamic user interfaces. Thing is that we have to change that a little. Let me rename that to Blazor render modes. Blazor render modes, and then client.NET 8 as well. No authentication. Actually don't need example pages here. Let's just create that, and then we'll have a look, because there's lots of stuff we don't need actually. And maybe I haven't found it yet, but I haven't seen a template that only gives me the files that I need here. Because, for instance, I don't need the AppRazor file, right? So that's why I can remove it. Imports is something we need. That's true. www.root is something we need as well. Properties, not necessary. Dependencies, yes. Layouts, nope, not necessary. And even the pages, actually, it's not really necessary. It comes from the sample pages, of course. So we have the program CS, and even the program CS is too big, because we do only need actually this stuff here. Let me remove this, of course. So we only have the builder, all right, and then we say run async to run the application. Okay, this is everything you need. And again, when you use the web app template, the Blazor web app template, and directly say I want to use WebAssembly or the auto render mode, then you have this out of the box, so you do not have to think about that actually. But now we did it a bit differently, so let's fix that real quick. We have the www.root. Well, regarding this thing, we also actually we don't need that as well. When you use the web app template, then you get the app settings JSON file here, but this is everything actually you need. But one thing now is very important, and this is the dependencies, because what we need is that we reference the client project here on the server project. When you have a look here at the dependencies, we have the framework, right? Same thing here, or similar thing here, let's say. We do not have the ASP.NET Core app down here. But now the server project, this is our server project. This thing has to know about the client project. And for that, we add the project reference here. This is the first thing we have to do. And now they are connected. So here you see in the projects, we've got the Blazor Render Modes client project. All right, and now let's have a quick look here again at the packages. Also important, what you see here, when you do it yourself, then you need the Microsoft ASP.NET Core component WebAssembly package for this WebAssembly project. All right, let me show you exactly what I mean here. So you see the packages. This is actually not necessary, the dev server, but the first one, this one is important. Okay, so again, these are some details. Just when you follow these steps, do not use, again, the WebAssembly or auto render mode directly in the configuration of creating or while creating a Blazor web application. All right, so these are the dependencies. And now the next step is really simple, actually. What I want to do is I just want to move that to the client. Also remove the shared folder here. I guess we have to change something now because this is not known anymore. So when I now want to use this button, we need another reference here. So let's have a quick look. It's actually this one. So we go to the imports, paste this here, and now shared. Question is this known? It seems it is. Yeah, yep, now it looks better. So now the error is gone. Again, we know the button here, and we can still say I want to use the interactive server render mode. This should still work. So let's just restart the application and let's just see if it does still work actually. All right, so you've seen WebSocket connection is here, and we still have the result button has been clicked. This is nice, but now I want to use WebAssembly. You see here, there's still the WebSocket connection, right? So how would we do that? Well, first thing again is adding the interactive WebAssembly render mode actually. So here now add and then interactive WebAssembly components is the function actually. But if we now have a look, not there. Why is that? Well, I did not tell you everything. We still need another package here on the server. So let's just right click the project, manage NuGet packages, and here now we have a look for WebAssembly server, and that's the one. Is that the one? WebAssembly? Nope, not the dev server, this one. So here we see Microsoft ASP.NET Core components WebAssembly server. So let's install this thing. Yes, we accept. And we go back to the program CS, and now magic, there is the function we need. It is now known, and similarly down here we add interactive WebAssembly render mode, and there is still one more thing we have to add, and that would be the function add additional assemblies. Remove this thing, and here now we have to give this thing an assembly, and the easiest way to do that is simply get our my button, that's the one, component, and here now we just say assembly like that, and that should be it. And again, as you can see here, this configures the application to support the interactive WebAssembly render mode, and here it says adds the given additional assemblies to the component application. The provided assemblies will be scanned for pages that will be mapped as endpoints. All right, so with that then in the end we are able to activate the WebAssembly render mode, and as you can see here again, this was the program CS. Here we're still using the button, nothing has been changed so far, but we moved the button to the client project, and this is important. We have to move or create everything that we want to use with the WebAssembly render mode. We have to create it or move it to this client project. Program CS here, again, minimalistic. And now comes again moment of truth. Here we say interactive WebAssembly now, save that, restart the application, and this is different now, right? No WebSocket connection. We see that resources have been loaded, and when we now have a look at network and then go to WASM, you see this stuff has been downloaded. All right, so these are the web assembly files in essence, and here no WebSocket connection for this interactivity, but we haven't clicked the button yet, right? Let's click it now, and button has been clicked. Whew, okay, works. So this is WebAssembly, and I see now that the tutorial isn't actually as short as I was hoping it would be. Anyways, server and WebAssembly. I guess you already learned a lot, I hope. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did. Thank you very much for that. And now comes auto. And auto, the auto render mode, well, this is quite simple actually. We just changed that now to interactive auto. And now this just means that we start with a WebSocket connection, but as soon as the user reloads this page or the component, then we will use WebAssembly. And this can only happen because when we use the WebSocket connection in the background, we're downloading all the awesome stuff. And then our application is that smart to know that we already have the WebSocket stuff, the WebSocket files, and then we can use it. And that way we can use offline functionalities, and we are in the end then also a bit faster compared to using WebSockets. But for that, I think I have to go to application and remove everything. Clear site data it is, I hope. Now we go to console, and now let me just reload this thing, and we should see, yep, now here we see, that's what I wanted to show you. WebSocket connection is there, so now we're really using a WebSocket connection regarding the interactivity here, but you see that in the background we already downloaded the WASM files. So now when I reload this thing, no WebSocket connection anymore, only WASM files are used, and these now should come from the cache. So here now we're really using WebAssembly. And this is the big thing about auto, right? So we're using both worlds. Important now is, again, that you place your component in the client project. This is in essence the most important thing here, that whenever you want to use WebAssembly or the auto render mode, that you move that stuff to the client project. Because when you want to use WebAssembly or the auto render mode and something is here in the server project, then you cannot use these render modes there. Server is server. This is cloud, right? Something else, somewhere else, but client is at home, local host on your client. And with that, for instance, you can use it offline. With WebSocket, this is not possible. You have to, you need a internet connection all the time. I hope I made this clear now. Okay, if you still have any questions, please feel free to write some comments. I definitely read every comment, but I cannot promise to add a reply to answer any question you have. But the community is big, right? Maybe there are other smart people that can answer these questions. Anyways, I hope I could help you with that. I hope you learned something today. If so, it would be amazing if you hit the like button and maybe even subscribe to my channel. It would really help grow this channel, would mean the world to me. So thank you very much for subscribing. And if you want to support me even further, there's a Patreon page linked in the video description. So maybe you want to check that one out. Thank you so much to every single patron here. I love you guys and gals. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you next time. Take care.